the mission that changed the world. NASA's troubles. NASA had some problems, and unfortunately for them, this was rocket science. Um, they had many issues, including unmanned rockets having catastrophic failures, is what they called it. I call it exploding mid-flight. It was not good. They had some of their rockets had severely glitchy launch sequencing that caused many aborted missions. Um, NASA still hadn't had a successful manned Saturn V flight, which was supposed to be the rocket to take astronauts to the moon. So that wasn't good either. There were some health issues among some of the astronauts too, which kept them on the Earth and not space. So that wasn't good either. Meanwhile, Russia, well, I guess they weren't Russia back then, they were the Soviet Union. They were taking this time to pull ahead in the space race. They already had two of their 7K L1 Zond spacecrafts ready to go on a circumlunar mission. The circumlunar mission is where you launch towards the moon and use its gravity to circle around the dark side and then come back. A picture of this is seen to the top left. And below that is a picture of one of their spacecraft. Thankfully, NASA got some good ideas. They decided to change the Apollo 8 mission from a high Earth orbital test of the LEM, Lunar Excursion Module, a lunar lander basically, to a lunar orbital mission, meaning they would go launch from the Earth and orbit the moon multiple times instead of just once. This way they could send men into orbit around the moon in a couple of months instead of multiple years. So the Apollo 7 mission, which came before the Apollo 8 mission, was a systems test for Apollo 8. Thankfully, everything went well, so they decided to go ahead with their plan. The Apollo 8 mission was the first lunar orbital mission ever done. The crew, Frank Borman, commander, Jim Lovell, second in command, I guess, Bill Anders, third. He's a rookie. Both Frank Borman and Jim Lovell had already been into space. This is the first time Bill Anders had ever been into space. Anyway, aboard they were the first people to see the dark side of the moon. They spent 20 hours circling the moon, even though they spent almost a week in space. They spent less than a day circling the moon. Kind of interesting. I think they spend more time there for that amount of time. It was so this was the first successful flight of the Saturn V rocket. And if you want a picture of the Saturn V rocket with all the stuff attached, here it is, over here. Yep. Okay. Mission overview. So they launched from the Earth on December 21st, 1968. They crossed over to the dark side of the moon. They entered lunar orbit at about 3:50 a.m. on the 24th of December. They took a whole bunch of pictures of the moon. They collected a bunch of data. And then they exited orbit on the same day, and they finally splashed down off the coast of Mexico on about the 26th of December, I think. Apollo 8 took hundreds of pictures. Many of the pictures they took were used to find or eliminate potential landing sites. This led to new plans for future missions to the moon and beyond. Some of these missions, you might know some of these pictures. One of these pictures is the famous moonrise. The Apollo 8 spacecraft was also recording data on lunar gravity. The moon's gravity is much less uniform than the Earth's due to large masses near the surface. These masses were large space objects such as asteroids that traveled very long distances, slammed into the moon. Typically, they were moving so fast that they were able to vaporize the rock around them. They threw debris and sunk into the mantle. Yes, the moon does have a mantle. I looked it up. Using this information, NASA was able to create better lunar landers, and they gained better understanding of how the moon was formed, what it was made out of, and how other planets' moons are formed, and what other planets' moons are made out of, because they got a better understanding of ours. So through this, the Soviets actually took this quite well, and we became more friendly with them because they took it well, I guess. In fact, the president of Russia said in a formal statement to the U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson, "Accept, Mr. President, our congratulations on the successful completion of the flight of the Apollo 8 spacecraft around the moon. This mission is a new accomplishment in mastering the outer space by man." So that was kind of nice, coming from like our worst enemies back then. Yeah, this is my photo bibliography with all the stuff. Should be in MLA format. But yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you.